everybody, Mom Liz here. I'm taking a turn today because I want to talk about things that abusers do to create their control in abusive relationships. And these are things that they go step by step, but they can also jump around a little bit. But let's get right into it. I have my notes. The first thing that you might see an abuser do is limit the ability to care for themselves, to limit the ability of the victim to care for themselves. This allows the victim to become reliant upon the abuser, and that reliance means that the abuser has more control. Abusers often take away job options, exploit the welfare of the victim for personal gain, or isolate the victim, removing their social support so that they socially begin to be supported by only the abuser, so that then they become even more reliant on the abuser, and the abuser has even more power. It's almost like the more that they lose, the more the abuser gains. The more the victim loses, the more the abuser gains. And this is a very dominant and predominant tactic used. It's almost in 100% of all abusive relationships. They may even attack the mental health or well-being of their victim to confuse them, to create confusing demands, to further confuse them and make them think, oh my gosh, am I going crazy? Well, he's the only person that's helping me, so I have to trust them more. And you play right into your abuser's hand. It creates a dynamic of absolute tension and just constant worry. And this breaks the victim down mentally, emotionally, and physically. It will affect your physical health. And they become more reliant upon their abuser, and the abuser knows that they have a reliable way to basically finesse their victim. I can limit their ability to take care of themselves, limit their ability to find their own support system, limit their ability to basically have any kind of life other than a life with me. One of the biggest things that abusers do when they're in a very critical time where victims are becoming submissive, but also, looking for options, looking for support systems, looking for other avenues to fight back, abusers often withhold information. And that could be as easy as blocking phone calls, blocking emails, blocking text messages, all the way to limiting social media access, all the way to blocking websites, advocacy programs online. It just depends on how adamant the abuser is that they want to limit that information and control what information is being received. That will make the abuser think that there is no information, there is no help, they have no options, and therefore they will just conform. Abusers also like to limit contact from their immediate family, even going as far as to keep them away in pure isolation from any close relationships. So we are seeing people that are being isolated, victims being isolated from their families, from mothers, fathers, nieces, nephews, even their own children they're being isolated from. And they almost do it willingly because the abuser does this in such a manner to say, it will make our relationship better. It will help us be a better team. It will make me look more graciously upon you. And so the victim is like, okay, yes, I will give these things up. Just give me that safety that I need. Because normally the physical safety of the abuser is their primary target because they have nothing else that they can control. They just want to make sure that they are not being physically attacked by their abuser. So they can isolate them, hold them, limit their outside access, limit their ability to care for themselves, limit their ability to find jobs and have a support system, limit their ability to get information. And as long as they're not being physically beaten, abusers basically have all the control. It seems that when physical abuse is put into the mix, about 50-50 of the victims either run, ask for help, fight back, and then the other half just simply stay in it because they feel absolutely controlled. They don't believe they have an avenue to fight back. Abusers often go as far as to control diets and self-care. They will limit or remove favorite necessary items from their victims so that they dole out these fantastic things that are necessary items, feminine products, certain medications, certain supplemental vitamins, even to go as far as for like deodorant, just simple self-care needs, a bath. They control the amount of baths you can take, when you can take it, even the temperature of the water. Abusers do this for control. They set up emotional banks between them and their victim for payment of necessary items, such as you create a dynamic where the abuser's needs are met by the victim, and this further dehumanizes the victim and forces that the abuser's needs are top priority. So the abuser may say, okay, well, if you really want to take a bath tonight, I really need you to do this for me. If you really want to make sure you have feminine hygiene products for next month, I'm going to need you to do this for me for the next few weeks. It's like, get this transactional relationship going. Any kind of transactional relationship is always unhealthy. Abusers begin reaching out and destroying the social web of support. They absolutely control and begin attacking or flexing power to anyone that attempts to reach out via social media, via email, text, phone. They completely begin an island of isolation, ignorance. No information is going through without the abuser being the one to give it, because everything good must come from the abuser. Anything that anyone else can provide is not good. Only the things that the abuser provides are good. Abusers begin using medical history or mental health history against the victim. This brings shame on the victim and exploits their weaknesses. It makes it harder for the victim to seek aid, which is further dehumanizing them. They may say, well, you know, since she had that last round of whatever, she can't really do these things, so I take care of her. So now your business has become your abuser's business that he is doling out for other people's entertainment and to exploit you, to state that basically because of this he must maintain you and therefore you are less human in everyone's eyes. Abusers displace others who cannot stomach walking. Let me read that again. Abusers displace others who cannot stomach watching their loved ones hurt and be hurt. This forces support options to be farther away, and the only support options that are granted from the abuser, which they've already researched, isolated, know about, and know that there's really no help to be given, but they grant you access to a website or an email account to a person halfway across the world so that you don't feel alone, but there's really no immediate help that can be gained. They've done the research and they know what they can give you without losing their power. Abusers begin using physical harm, but they blame the victim for the physical harm. So the abuser uses secondary means to enforce control via physical harm, such as if you walk the dog and leave, then when I find the dog, I'm going to kill it. Abusers will say that to their victims. Or if you reach for a weapon, then that's the weapon I'm going to use on you. So it creates this, anything that I do, they're going to do back to me. Or if I attempt to do that, they're going to finish me with that. It turns it into whatever you think you're going to do, or whatever physical harm that they do to the victim is because of the victim's actions and earned through the victim's actions. So the abuser is only doling out the appropriate response to someone that is, trying to get out of their clutches. So if you see these things occur, know that you are in an unhealthy dynamic. Know that you are with an abuser. Know that you're with somebody that does not appreciate your worth as a human being. Make sure that you question things when you start finding these transactional relationships or these slow support system cuts, trims, where they start depleting your resources. Pay attention, people, when they start to remove or reduce your personal items, or they start to advocate for you to walk away from personal friends or family members. These are all red flags that you're with an abuser. And that being said, I want everybody to take 5 minutes and think about the last 2 years of your life as a citizen of America. Everything that I just spoke about has been used by our government. We've been dehumanized. We've been forced into submission acts that we otherwise would not have done out of fear, out of manic worry, out of depression, out of stress and anxiety, out of hope that maybe things will change. Things never change with an abuser. We've had our ability to have social outreach limited. We cannot specifically ask for help or state certain things online without getting punished. So we're in a punitive relationship as well. But they dangle something above us stating that it will all go away if we just comply to their demands. And now don't think that this is benevolence because someone's patience is getting thin. There are millions, hundreds of millions of people in an abusive relationship, and they don't even acknowledge it as an abusive relationship. Be careful. Be careful what adjectives and human emotions you apply to a body of people that have led us this far astray in 24 months. Because according to my psychology training, they're the worst abusers I've personally ever come in contact with. Do your research. If you can find something that tells me otherwise, I'd love to hear it. Put it in the comment section. People love power. People love being an authoritarian and having that complete aspect that everything they do is right. That also profiles as an abuser. They have no idea of empathy or sympathy. They have no idea of the actual harm they're doing. They just enjoy the control. It's happening all across the world, but I absolutely know it's happening in my nation. Never thought I would see this. People, we're being abused. Wake up.